What's going on, Jeromes? So Dalton Risner has been an interesting name for the Vikings over the past 2 seasons. Well, really since training camp last year. But it was the first instance. It didn't work out with J.C. Treader, but it was the first instance where Vikings fans literally bullied the team into signing Dalton Risner, who was inked up week 3 last year after Oli Udoh tore a quad. They had worked him out in training camp, but Risner, who had been a multi-year starter, 4-year starter at left guard for the Broncos, former second-round pick, eventually landed here with the Vikings. Roadhouse. That's right, baby. And the timeline was weird. So, second round pick, like we said, was a free agent, just sort of hung out there, wasn't on a 90-man, wasn't in camp with any other team. But then the Vikings signed him mid-season, eventually took over for Ezra Cleveland, who was injured in the trade to Jacksonville, played in 15 games, starting 11 at left guard, a solid pass protector, run game. But then this next offseason, 0 significant offers, again, some mild interest from the Vikings before eventually bringing him back at the tail end of OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So he was back, right? And the promise was, hey, Risner's going to be in the mix with third-year left guard, right guard Ed Ingram, as well as left guard Blake Brandel, former backup for the Vikings, who signed up to a 3-year deal, and those three would compete. There was no competition, right? So Brandel installed at left guard, Ed Ingram hopefully was going to improve in year 3 at right guard, and Risner was just sort of out of the mix because you remember, so obviously there's no injury reports during training camp or preseason, but he got dinged up pretty early, and the Vikings having padded practice on August 5th, I believe, that Monday, and the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell wanting more physicality this year. Risner left practice. I can't pinpoint the exact date, but Risner left relatively early. Alec Lewis, the Athletic, Risner missed practice for a bit with a bit of a back injury. So this was on August 10th, and for a bit, I mean, that window between August 5th, first padded practice, and August 10th, for a bit, I mean, I think that he got dinged up at one of the first padded practices. I think timeline-wise that syncs up. So basically, it's been 2 weeks plus 3 weeks going on, and something that's flown under the radar. It's something that hasn't really been asked of O'Connell or Wes Phillips, but it is concerning. And Alec Lewis, the Athletic, again, talked about this today in his 53-man roster write-up. Dalton Risner on the edge. A few weeks ago, Risner suffered a back injury. He has not practiced since, nor has he been present. So, has he not been present on the practice field, which is pretty obvious, or has he not been present in the building, which would be very concerning? Because if he's got a back injury, like, he should be in the building getting treatment, sitting in meetings and whatnot. But again, it's unclear if Lewis just means hasn't been present out of practice where media is, or hasn't been present in the building. All right, I'm thinking it's more the former, because if he just straight up wasn't there, I think that would have matriculated down and would have been made clear. The Vikings added him as reliable depth on the interior of the offensive line, but you have to be available to offer insurance. Like Gabriel Murphy, he too might be a candidate for injured reserve. Teams have 2 spots for players who don't count against the 53-man, and tight end TJ Hawkinson will likely occupy one of them. Now, unless they change the PUP rules, like, how come all the beat writers are hell-bent on having Hawkinson go on IR? Because you miss the same amount of time, and you also don't count against the 53. Have to look into that. A player like Murphy, who is still young, developing, might warrant the nod more than a backup guard, even if Brandel and Ed Ingram are not stalwarts. So basically, Lewis is saying that maybe Dalton Risner is on the roster bubble, where even though he signed a 1-year deal, $1.1 million guaranteed, he may not be on the 53, and he may not be on the IR designated for return. Like, he may just be out. He may just be placed on injured reserve, and then potentially having an injury settlement, and then he becomes a free agent again, or straight up waived. Although I don't think they could waive him with the injury. But either way, like right now, I mean, the Vikings seem to have a hard-on for Darrisaw, Brandel, Bradbury, Ingram, and O'Neal. Like, they want that to be the offensive line, because Blake Brandel, they paid, and also Ed Ingram, second-round pick, and a guy that they've really gone to bat for, even though it's kind of uneven performances. Like, he's absolutely solid as a run blocker, kind of questionable as a pass protector, which is interesting because his time at LSU, that was flip-flopped. Questionable in the run game, but very good as a pass protector. It's kind of interesting. Also played mostly left guard at LSU. Anyways, but also, so the Risner dinged up. Dan Feeney also injured too. I mean, all of a sudden the Vikings supposedly solid interior offensive line depth gets pretty damn thin because I think that Tyrese Robinson is fine. They've worked Walter Rouse at second team backup guard, except I think he's more of a tackle. Jurgens has been hot or cold as well. So they don't really have much. So, I mean, if this Risner injury is serious and carries on into the start of the season, I mean, do the Vikings make a move at 53-man cutdowns, bringing in someone that would be interesting at guard or scouring free agency as well? So, I don't know, it's something to keep an eye on because it has been notable that the Risner has always been listed by the beat writers as non-participant. You're thinking, okay, a couple of veteran days here or there, but no, time flies, man. It's been 3 weeks. So I was hoping and praying that the Vikings interior offensive line will finally get things done, but the competition was a sham, and now we may not even have depth. So other than that, good, great, grand, wonderful. But your thoughts are thoughts. A major concern over Dalton Risner's back injury. Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. So I'll support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.